Wow. Hello, and welcome into the SorareData Football Strategy Show. I am Andrew Laird. Wow. I have like an echo here. There's a whole lot going on. Apologies to everyone. My own technical difficulties. But welcome to the SorareData Strategy Show. I am Andrew Laird. Joined by Sean Newsham today, PSU fans 2, to talk about cheap Mbappes. Everyone's getting one, Sean. How excited are you, having bought one a few weeks ago and then seeing the price cut in half?
No, I'm fine. I'm indifferent. Whatever. Or should I say, what the frick, Laird? What the frick?
Ooh, yeah. Look at you.
I just want to say
it's a 5-letter F word, though. You need a better 4-letter one.
What the fook?
I think that's 3 letters.
No, they're F-O-O-K.
Oh, F-O-O. Okay.
Yeah. I spelled it correctly, Laird. Yeah, I don't know. I honestly think you were the real loser there. Like, you berated me and
I thought you went with Mbappe
and complained about me swearing, but like every feedback was basically making fun of you and saying that Laird needs to be like more free, and like I don't know. I just think that that the people have spoken and they want a more R-rated show, Laird, and you just don't want to give the people what they want.
No, I actually think that I'm the one who caused everyone. Like, I think people were responding to me more than you. They weren't actually fired up about you saying these horrible, horrible words. It was me saying, like, please don't say them. And everyone's like, wait a minute. Don't tell Sean what to say.
Yeah, that's people want the R-rated content. They don't like you they just don't like it. They don't want the censor. They want me to be able to give my honest opinions with honest words and not having to say what the frick instead of other words, because you're trying to keep things on the G-rated level. Like,
I love how hard it is for you to not say them.
What?
I love how hard it is for you to like just not say the word fuck.
Well, so here's the thing, guys, is Laird doesn't know this yet, but like as most people know, and I think Laird knows this also, I don't care. So if I start dropping F-bombs and we see Laird's face go down into his palms again, we're just gonna have to watch that and enjoy as a group, because I can't be censored. You gotta let me cook, as Surface once said. And I mean,
I forget who. Yeah, it was.
Unless it's actually like dinner or something, then I hate cooking, so pass.
Not actually cooking.
Yeah, I want to cook, just not actual literal cooking. I don't like literal cooking. It's actually unfortunate my wife also doesn't like to cook, which is probably why I'm really fat, because we both hate to cook. So it's like, oh, what are we having for dinner? Oh, let's go to dinner, and then we go out for dinner. So
yeah,
it's just unfortunate.
It happens.
Anyways, back to the topic. Since last week we like didn't touch on it at all in an hour and a half. This week,
in fairness, that was not our fault last week.
Like,
we had a topic and Sorare decided to change it.
That is true. That is true. We were not participants in the change of topic.
Right, exactly. We were forced.
Yes.
Forced.
Agreed.
Just like Sean is now forced not to say certain words on this show.
You can take it out of my paycheck, Laird.
Yeah, sure will.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I believe Zarky Poo is here. Zarchi Poo, excuse me, in chat. Zarchi is the reason that the Sorare market is tanking, because he bought the Mbappe. I don't even know what the number is. Not that anybody really cares.
It was like 19, I think.
19
I think it was 19 because he sent me the picture. Let me see if I'm right.
Yeah, it is 19. Yes, I have it on my own screen here. So there were a lot of. So I actually I talked to him like almost right after, and he was like, I wasn't even looking for this card. I like went on to Sorare, I checked the auctions, and this one was like ending in 2 minutes, and I threw a bid in and it won.
Yeah.
And the response has been very passionate on one side and I think reasonable on the other. Not that it doesn't tell us anything about the market, but I kind of sided with, I think Pires was the first one who said it, like the auction closed at like 2 o'clock in the morning in like in the UK. So like 3 o'clock in the morning for the rest of Western Europe, or Eastern Europe, excuse me. And not like Eastern Europe, but east of England. And it just missed. And like that happens sometimes with auctions, that they happen overnight. I don't think this is one that like lots of people were necessarily targeting, because so part of the response is like everyone on the platform who like theoretically could, I don't want to say easily afford, but can easily afford an Mbappe rare card already has one. They're like, why would anybody need another? I do believe this was Zarchi's second though, so like that kind of gets thrown out. But the response is like, yeah, it's just overnight. And then there's like a little bit more of like Mbappe's price should go down because he's losing U23 eligibility in a few months. And then we were in a conversation about basically like, where does Mbappe stand across the platform when he's no longer U23 eligible? And the general consensus is kind of like, he's probably the best player. And so not necessarily like the best player for every competition right now, but like, because he's so young, obviously he's losing U23, but like you have a decade theoretically of utility out of this card, which I both agree with and find absurd that anybody like thinks that long. But what was your response when you saw the price, which was like 4.5 ETH? And I'm trying to find whatever the fiat value is at that point, $7,000.
Well, I don't know. Do I have permission to swear, Laird? Am I allowed to do that? Because I literally have my reaction. Because, well, actually, you're lucky because my autocorrect saved you. So I'll give you my reaction.
Yeah. What was your actual response again?
He messaged me and he basically like I'll paraphrase what he said. He's like, I went to take a poopy because I can't say any other word, and I saw this and I just plopped the bid in and I won it. It's not really what he said, but effectively we'll just pretend that's what Zarky said. And I said, Jesus, wow. I mean, God, we just all ducked. Instead of a different word, it changed to ducked. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I was mostly kidding in that. But I think that I'm torn on what I think of it. I'm definitely not in the It's Haber came in and said that I should give him my Mbappe, but unfortunately, It's Haber has used words that I'm not allowed to use towards me twice this week in public settings. Laird, you didn't see, he also told me that yesterday during his live stream playing FIFA, and there was absolutely no justification for it. I just came in and was like, "Hey, Haber, I'm here to support your FIFA career," and he told me to f off.
Fuck off
is what he said. Yeah. So, anyways, back to what I was talking about. I'm torn. I'm not in agreement with you and Perez, and I'm also not convinced that it's not bad either. But here's the thing. If you looked at a lot of other cards, there was just a lot of other dips that have been happening. And part of the reason is there's a lot of people waiting for a certain league that is been rumored by literally everyone and their mother will be released this month. We'll have to wait and see. The month is winding down.
That's the Saudi league?
Yes, the Saudi league. And people are waiting for the Saudi league to be the Saudi Premier League, and they're waiting for it to be released. And that is part of why things are going down. I also think, obviously, the World Cup absolutely killed everything. And Haber wants verbatim what he said. I cannot give that. Andrew Laird has told me I'm not allowed.
Yeah, you can say that on your show.
And someone just came in, and let's see who just mentioned it. Sorare Josh said Upamecano had a major drop too. It's not just these guys. Like, you look at Upamecano went from 1.7 ETH a week ago to 1.0, 1.1. So he dropped about 30%. The issue, and this is the big part, and it's always hard to fully handle. There's been a massive rush on ETH lately. And when there's a massive rush on ETH, it typically doesn't bode well for Sorare when it goes up. So like ETH price has gone up in the last week, like 30, 40%. And Sorare has struggled to keep up with that. Now, that said, when I look at like the Upamecano, he was selling for like $2,400, $2,500 last week, and then this week he's selling for like $1,700. So I'm more concerned than normal. And I told you, you and I have talked about, like, I'm more concerned over the last like 2 months, 3 months than I've ever been before. There's just more things that I'm more concerned about now than I've ever been before. But it's more of a, is the Prem going to be a different animal? Will that change it? And you and I both, I think that there's going to be like, no, my view on what's going to happen when we get the Prem, and I think yours is the same, is Prem gets released, everyone gets super pumped and like buys stuff, whatever they do right away. And then people are like absolutely distraught a month in when they realize there's not millions of people on the platform in that month, that because the Prem came. And then they sell off and they're pissed and they're not happy. And then the people do start trickling in over time for the Prem. And then we see a slow, gradual rise back up to things. But the World Cup was just the Global Cup was just a real depressor to the ecosystem, because absolutely no one cared, because Sorare made it so that no one cared effectively. Like, I hate to say it. And the free to play game, I think, was good. And they definitely did attract quite a few members for the free to play game. But they like made everyone that was on the platform with cards just like, it's like, all right, guys, 2-month hiatus. You can't do anything. And I think it was a massive issue on the platform, and it just sort of killed it for a little bit. It's not like dead or anything. It's just like, but it is concerning. Like, if I see an Mbappe going for 4.4, I'm like, Jesus.
Yeah. Well, was it 4.4, 4.5? 4.5, I'm fine with it, but 4.4, I think we're in trouble.
I think it was 4.4.
Just kidding. Yeah, I think the biggest difficulty that I have when I look, like right now, I have pulled up here, and anyone else can pull this up. It's the SorareData Newsletter Champion Europe Player Index, and like you can see, like this time last year, like I guess we did see like a little bit of a boost into February, but like prices start to come down this time of year for Champion Europe players, because like utility is less because the season is going to be over in 4-5 months, which is a really long time. I always find it funny when people are selling now with months left. But anyway, but the Global Cup really like threw everything off. Like it just killed the market for a solid month, if not before that.
It was 2 months.
2 months, right? Because nobody's going to buy going into the Global Cup. I mean, you get a few people who, trying to get Griezmann to play during the Global Cup. There are only so many of those people, and so it's just we're just coming out of a period that we've never had before. And so it's like really difficult to like look back and be like, oh, this is why this is the case. Because I do use that a lot. Whenever like prices fall, it just feels like we have a reason for it. And like we have the same reasons this time around, like utilities down, blah, blah, blah. But ultimately, like this 2-month like cool off period, MLS and the J League and K League like haven't started yet. We still have like another month until those start. We have absolutely no idea what's going on with the J League in terms of Sorare. And so it's just like a weird period. So like I'm not surprised that the market kind of slows a little bit in this time. Adding the Premier League, Andy and I talked about it a little bit on Sorare Andrews, but like a humongous rush of people is probably not good.
Yeah.
And so like prices just skyrocket, and then they become unsustainable, and then they drop when the number of users who come in have their cards, and then prices start coming down because like the season's coming to an end and everyone gets pissed. And I don't know. I think those people, and there are people out there that seem to still be involved in Sorare, but also really like when things don't go well, because they either sold up, and they want to be proven right. And so anything that goes poorly, they're like, well, now it's going to die. Good thing I got out. And I think that it's going to take until next Premier League season, like in August, for us to see like a reasonable Premier League bump. Like I think we'll see steady users coming in, but like adding a Premier League game in the middle of the season, we saw this with MLB. Like things just don't, even though like we don't play like a season long game, like just launching mid-season is hard. And so I think we're not going to see like this massive FPL user base come in and gobble up all of our cards and push prices up. And people are going to be like, oh, didn't work. We're all dead. And it's just not the case.
I think there's a good shot that we see a much more normal type of thing. That's all. I think we're gonna see an immediate spike because everyone's gonna be like, "Oh my God, Prem's here. Let me buy this dumb Arsenal player." I'm making fun of Pires because he's gonna buy a dumb. Actually, Haber was like, "I'm gonna buy a Man United stack." I'm like, "Have fun,
go nuts."
I literally have like half their cards already. You can have them if you want. They suck. Casemiro is okay, but anyways, yeah, it's like. I think we're going to see a big excitement like for February. If like, let's say we get in the next week or so, we'll see a excitement for February. And then it's going to taper off until the summer. And then towards August, assuming they do a big marketing push, we start seeing people trickle in and we see people come onto the platform for it at that time, depending on what they have. The issue is you need to incentivize these people to not just play the free-to-play game.
Sure.
If they are content playing the free-to-play game, it does not matter because them playing free-to-play does not help you sell cards and does not help infuse money into the platform. So it's a situation where like people need to be buying Premier League cards or need to be buying cards in general. And I do think like some people obviously like you don't know if you're going to like it until you're in it, right? Like there's going to be people that are going to come in and play it as like a free to play game and then are going to be like, "Oh, this is super cool. I want to get more interest." And then you're going to have people that are going to come in and be like, "Oh, I ate a DNP, I lose and I'm done." And that sucks. And that's not going to be fun. So like you have like both ranges of outcomes that like people are going to hit both sides of things. So I think we're definitely not going to see a mass influx in the next 3 months, but maybe towards August, we start seeing people come in for the European return is what I'm thinking. Because like, yeah, like you said with the MLB, but MLB also, I don't know, I just don't feel like they care about the MLB product is my take on MLB. What I see, like, I mean, what are they auctioning in MLB right now? Is it like 1 card a week?
I don't know. I haven't looked.
I'm gonna look that up.
I mean, it's like a couple a day. I mean, there's nothing going on with baseball right now anyway, so it's.
They are auctioning 1 limited every 50 minutes in MLB. Yeah. And then they're
I don't see any reason to do more though right now.
No, I don't either. And then a rares every 4.5 hours. And a super rare is
every full moon.
Every day, effectively. There's a Daniel Vogelbach super rare coming up later if you're interested. You seem like a Mets fan. I don't know if you're a Mets fan, but you seem like you'd be a Mets fan.
Did not even know he played for them.
I don't even know.
I think I'm a Mets stack actually.
See?
Yeah. Excuse me. I wanted to touch on a few comments from the chat. Speaking of the chat, thank you to everybody for joining us. If you guys could please hit the like button. We only have 22 likes and like over 100 people watching. So let's get to work here.
One of them's for me too, Laird.
Oh man. And I think I'm one of them. So like, this is absurd.
Yeah.
Speaking of YouTube and likes, I feel bad bringing this up given the animosity between you two, but Haber is here and Haber just started a new Sorare channel on YouTube. And I think everybody should check it out. It's Haber Sorare. So go check that out, subscribe, do all the stuff. First video is excellent. And Sam brought up the question, if a humongous rush of users is not good, what is good? Which I think is a really good question.
And rush of users that is steadily going up.
Right. Like I think just for the good of the market in terms of, I mean, the Sorare market is not exactly the most like efficient market you can find, but it becomes like wildly inefficient if we have like a sudden boom of users. And so as long as like there's a steady increase as the season goes on, and we'll see like spikes of users come in when the Premier League is like I expect it to happen in July and August when people are like gearing up for the season. But I just think that like what happened basically this time 2 years ago, it just wasn't healthy. Like and we've seen people who came in at that time who are still complaining about their card prices being down when they bought it, like literally the absolute peak of the platform. And that's why you don't want that, because if there are enough people who buy at an absurd peak, at the peak of an unsustainable run, they're going to be pissed off at some point.
If we get some sort of ridiculous run, I would probably sell a good chunk of my gallery off.
I might actually sell Joao Felix that time.
Yes, I just, you won't, but I would sell one of my Joao Felix.
Definitely not.
But I just think that we're in a situation where we could see maybe a situation like we had 2 years ago, and we saw in that situation, like if you were buying during the middle of that situation, it was difficult to dig yourself out of that, just because everything was so high. If you were in before it, it was okay, but if you came in like straight up spike and you just bought on the high, it was rough for you afterwards. So like I'm hopeful that we see a sustained growth that is consistently going upwards and not just some massive spike and then like nothing that even touches it after that. I think that would cause, like you said, it's just an unhealthy market situation. In that scenario, it's just an unhealthy situation, and we don't want that.
Exactly. So I was trying to catch up here. Fling Flong here said, I came the Gary V week. And which is, I think, what a lot of people did. Like, I think Chani said it recently. Like, he came in the boom. I thought it was Chani. Or, yeah, it might have been.
What is the exact date that we consider the Gary V boom?
I think the day that he bought the Joao Felix unique.
Does he still have a, like, okay, what's...
He has everything that he bought that day because he literally bought everything and then left.
Yeah, it was a pure pump job. So he won at 2/14/2021. So
yeah, Valentine's Day.
So here's the thing, and it's actually really funny, Laird, is I started my gallery on 2/15, had absolutely nothing to do with Gary V. Not a thing.
Yeah.
So it's funny that like I literally came in then and it had nothing to do with him. So I'm going to answer this.
Look at these prices though. Like,
it was not, that day wasn't like the peak of the Gary V boom. I think it was like,
you're right,
March 1st.
I think it started it.
Yes. I can tell you, like, I still have like my worst buy on the platform.
February 28th was like the literal peak.
Yeah.
In terms of auction volume.
And that makes
until later. I mean, obviously we passed it. NBA and MLB helped, but
yeah, and that makes sense. I know exactly when I bought someone, and it was like, all right, so I bought Kim Tae-hwan, and it was easily my worst purchase on the platform. And there was like nothing available at that time. Nothing. And I paid 1.5 ETH for his super rare.
Mm-hmm.
Because there was absolutely no U23 defenders with like forward progression that still had years left. So I was like, I'm going to buy this. And let me see when I bought it. I got
one too. I got one on March 6th. In fact, I
bought it the 27th of February. So the key for me, and the reason why I sort of got out quickly and got out okay, I came in really hot. If I waited like 2 weeks, it would have been really bad for me compared to what I did right away. So I bought so heavily during that range that it propelled me. So even though I was still buying some cards during like the full peak boom, I was still in an okay shape because I bought enough cards right before everything went nuclear that I was in pretty okay shape.
Sure.
But yeah, Kim Tae-hwan, easily my worst buy on the platform. Because I paid 1.5 ETH for it, and yeah, he is really very, very poor.
Yeah, I'm going to show you my worst one, which I believe is a special player in your heart as well. So I paid 0.216 for Chris Durkin rare.
I paid less, but
I remember I was thrilled.
I don't know what
I bought two of them, and then one somebody saved me from not being this dot. But
someone really saved you and paid that much. Yeah, you were pretty much uber peak. I mean, my Durkin graph, I have the rainbow because I bought.
I was gonna say you have the unique. That's why I brought it up.
The unique is usable sometimes. The unique is usable.
Really? Were there some sort of Chris Durkin special weeklies I missed?
I won a card. I've won a card with the Chris Durkin unique. I finished.
I would guess it was limited underdog, and he was the 5th card that you put in the line.
I finished 32nd in Challenger D2 in game week 196. And I actually won a Fabian Balbuena super rare, who is a pretty usable card for a while.
That sure is.
The Durkin super rare, I'm going to assume I paid 0.541 for the Durkin super rare. I've also won a card with that. Okay, so this is funny.
That's a steal.
No, this is great. Where did I use the Chris Durkin super rare to win a card?
All-Star Rare Pro.
Yes. I got to find this out. So game week 192. We got to find, let's see what my live was game week 192. That had to be pretty much right when I came on the platform. And I won a Koki Machida rare.
Oh, you smashed this one. Look at you.
I don't know how, but yeah, apparently that was a good week for me. Let's go back to that. Look at those guys.
This is back when you played Sorare the right way instead of just buying all the best cards.
Yeah, well, what I do, let's look through my gallery. Let's look through my lineups this week. What did I have there? I guarantee the All-Star. I guarantee I have like Gil somewhere. Oh, so that was after I bought Unique. So that was a little bit into me having cards.
Yeah, you were in. The Bobby Shuttlesworth, always good to get you a podium in All-Star.
People always make fun of stuff. Bobby Shuttlesworth out there winning, getting me a podium on Gas 2 when the rewards were a little bit better. I want a Tier 1 Super Rare. All right, so here's another trivia question, Laird. Who has won the most cards for me in my gallery?
I was going to say, I assume it's Mickey because you just said his name.
Yeah, it is Mickey. Well, actually, it's
Carlos.
What? There's a three-way tie, I think. I think there's a three-way tie between Carlos Gil, and Mickey Imani.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no, actually, no, you're right. Carlos Gil, it's a sandwich. It's Carlos Gil, Yamani, and then Carlos Gil.
Must be nice. Anyway.
I mean, Carlos Gil's a great card. I've told people. I mean, I don't know if anyone's ever heard me say it, but I think Carlos Gil's a good player.
There's your Dirk and you.
I use the Dirk and you on occasion. I have most of these cards still, and they're all still pretty good. But this I think, Laird, goes into your discussion.
Out for Taylor
on, this goes to your discussion. Scroll back up to the top, and let's go down through this list. So you're talking about the Mbappe, and like people are thinking it's going to be like an important card for like a long time. So I still have the Espinoza and the Usami uniques. The Espinoza card, actually, click on the Espinoza card. You'll be shocked how much I've won with it because he's terror.
I'm not shocked. That's a great card. Oh.
No, that's not accurate.
Oh, all right.
That's not accurate on my card.
There we go. Oh, a little Fukumori action.
Yep.
Oh, you still have this Capetti card?
I do not have the Capetti. I sold the Capetti, unfortunately, because now he's worth a lot more than what I probably sold him for like 0.6. I definitely did not get much for Capetti, 0.7. It was a struggle to sell Capetti too.
As somebody who has a Capetti super rare now, I hope it's worth 10 ETH soon.
No, well, understandable.
Oh, Mukhtar super rare?
Yep.
Ochoa, little Columbus Crew stack here.
Yep, George Bello.
Oh, Enzo the GOAT.
Yep. So 16 ETH in rewards on Espinoza.
Yeah, that's good.
But like, so you all right? Let's keep going down the list. We'll just look at these cards. So like, and Eduardo I use frequently. Hans Vonneken I use all the time in lineups. Calvo I still use a good chunk of the time. I don't use Chris Durkin.
He's in Turkey, right?
Calvo's in Turkey now. Like, I still use a Boubacar. I use the Matus card frequently. Kang Hyun Mu is now in the military, so like that's fantastic. Like, it's awesome. Like Shogo Taniguchi, he's now gone to wherever he went to. But like Otavio, I still use Otavio frequently. Melly, like I might use Melly in this midweek coming up. I had that Gaetan Kook for like 2 weeks. I was trying to sell that so freaking badly, and I got rid of it finally. But Robin Proper, we've seen Proper's like one of the most underrated people on the platform. The dude just sucks sometimes because of how he plays, but he puts up some monster scores some weeks. Like he just puts up some huge scores. Ajuke, I still have that card. Sangare, I use it frequently. Daniel Munoz, like he's literally the same card he was. He's like one of the best fullbacks on the platform. Vonneken, Juni Ito, like most of these guys aren't.
R.I.P. Morioka.
But it's just funny, like you look at it because you're talking about like, oh hey, it's weird that we're talking about Mbappe deep into the future, but like this was over 2 years. No, I guess it wasn't over 2 years ago. But this was 2 years ago, and a lot of these cards, like I still use frequently. So like it's a funny thing to look at, and you're like, yeah, you really do use a lot of these cards a lot of the time.
Yeah, yeah. I like missed a bunch of questions in the chat or comments, but the one that just got me was the most recent one because I want to get back to Mbappe here for a second. P123456 Iffy says, once he's not U23 anymore, why buy Mbappe when you can get Malcolm for half the price? Champion Europe utility has become fairly unimportant when you look at the rest of market prices. Is this a gameplay issue?
No, I mean people.
I think it's completely wrong though. Like
you can't play Malcolm in Champ Europe, and Champ Europe still does have the best prize pools.
Right.
Like
I
Champ
also
Europe
think
is
he's better than
than
Malcolm. How about that?
What?
I think he's also better than Malcolm. How about that?
I mean, I have Malcolm. I like Malcolm. He's a great card. So
it feels like
here's the
Malcolm plays like
Scosmo.
12 games a season. That's the problem I have with Russia.
I don't think Scosmo's here, but Scosmo was talking about it yesterday. The reason you have Mbappe is he's like the best card when you factor everything together into one bowl, and you're like, here's my bowl. Mbappe is the best player. Like Mbappe comes to the top of that bowl when you factor everything. If you factor like certain things, obviously Mbappe is not going to be as good of a card. But so here's the question I have for you, because this is the one I find the most intriguing. What price should Mbappe be if you just remove Mbappe and you consider everyone else? What price should he be?
I don't know what that means.
Look at Messi, Neymar, Haaland, anyone else you want to, and like compare stuff. What do you think Mbappe should be based on other people's price points?
So like Messi is that 4 ETH, right? Ish. 3.6 floor for Messi, 3 floor for Neymar. I think Mbappe should be,
but not just them. Like look at Haaland, look at Kimmich, Bruno, like all these guys. Like what should Mbappe be to you?
Before I do that, do you think Bruno goes down with the Prem coming in?
Yeah, he would have to. I mean, he's still really good, but the reason he's as valuable as he is because he's not.
Yeah, there's like 12
none of them. Yeah, there's very few of them.
Yeah, I think Mbappe should be the same as Haaland.
Okay, so I think he should be more than Haaland.
I think the extra year of U23 makes them closer.
I just don't think Haaland's that good.
That's fair.
And that's the issue. So here's my take, right? You get a decade out of Mbappe. That's important. As much as like I don't think you talk about it and you continuously are like, you don't like actively think about it, right? You're not like, all right, well, I need to factor in this because I'm going to have like 9 years out of Mbappe and it matters. You're just like,
here's my lineup for game week 936.
Yeah, you're just like, look, I have a decade of Mbappe that is important because it is important. And I think so. What do you think based on all of that while the dogs are barking?
Yeah, no, I don't think it's worth thinking that far ahead. Like, because realistically, you can get a lot of these guys. Like, is there that big of a difference between getting 6 years of utility and 10 years?
What?
Is there a big difference if you're saying somebody only has 6 years of utility versus 10?
Not in theory, but possibly. Like, because you're talking Kimmich versus him, right?
Sure. No, I mean, it doesn't even have to be Kimmich, but like and maybe it's not even 6. Like, is 4 years of Kevin De Bruyne or 4 years of Neymar or 4 years of Bruno that much worse than 10 years of Mbappe for the fact that we have no idea what happens to his platform by the end of this year, let alone what happens in 4 years or 10 years? Like, I just think I just think anything beyond like 3 years is the same.
It's not, but I understand what you're saying, but it's not. Like, it is better to have more, even if you don't know what. There's no way in which me getting 10 years of a player versus 3 years isn't better, unless the platform blows up.
Yeah, I'm not disputing that 10 is better than 6, but I don't think that you get a massive amount of value right now out of years 7, 8, 9, and 10. Like, I don't think that's worth overpaying for.
No, but I'm saying like it does still matter. And so Jakun says Mbappe doesn't even guarantee you rewards. Look at Harry trades with lower division U23. So 2 comments on that. One, no card guarantees you rewards. It just gives you a better chance to win rewards. If you have a guy that you can literally play every week and not have to worry about it and him be a 70 average player, that is important. And then also, yeah, Harry had great success, but Harry did that in midweeks with a Burnley stack. And this goes back to discussions we've had previously. Stacking is a great way to negate better cards if you don't have the better cards. Or if you do have the better cards, it's a great way to pair them with a stack. And if that stack goes off, you're going to have a great time. Like the one guy, I forget his name, but he's been winning with like the U20 super rare stack like over and over again this season, which is I like it because one, I like 20. Obviously, I've liked Understall and I like Proper. But like it's not the meta alpha stack that you think people would have. And yet this guy's like, I just see this guy with a screenshot every week of like, oh, Geese Small had 100, Proper had 90, and it's pretty funny.
They do
But
it on limited too. They finished
yeah,
like eighth in Challenger limited because of that stack.
Yeah, that
and didn't include Proper. I noticed that one on the limited stack.
That's just not as I just am not as interested in that as the other end because obviously he doesn't have a chance to win a massive card with that. But so the idea with Mbappe isn't that like he necessarily is a guarantee to win cards. Mbappe is a card that every single week you can play him without really worrying about anything. And you don't really have to literally worry about anything. Like there's not a travel location where Mbappe is going to go and you're like, oh man, he just transferred to Nottingham Forest. And you're like, darn. No, it's like Mbappe is going to Real Madrid or Barcelona or PSG or Bayern. Or he's not going anywhere that isn't going to be incredibly productive. Also, Mbappe has a pretty realistic path to be better than he is because he's taken sets in the past for France and for PSG, but doesn't currently take sets. He could realistically like go to Madrid and be like, I'm the set piece guy, Tony Cruz, you're gone, and just alphas everything. But it's not even that. It's like, it's more so to me, like, all right, if I'm looking at Messi and Neymar, and they're like 3.5, and then I'm looking at like Bruno and Kevin De Bruyne, and they're like 4.5. To me, Mbappe should be around 6, I think. And I like Haaland. Like I think Haaland should be around 3-ish, 3.5 maybe. And I'll probably get flamed for that. But like, if Haaland is just there's not really realistic scenarios where Haaland is like the guy you want because he just doesn't have the AA game to be that guy. So like, if you're playing Haaland, you're like, this guy's got to score a hat trick. I just don't envision Erling Haaland scoring 150 goals a year, no matter how good I think he is. So like it just like even if he scores 45 goals a season or 50 goals a season, like I think Benzema last year had like 60 goals in all competitions. Pretend Haaland had 60 goals in all competitions. Like let's look at Benzema, and I know Benzema is a bit flawed because he's been out recently due to injuries. But like if you look at like Benzema, like he probably over last year was like a 65-ish type player, average player, maybe a little higher, maybe like 65 to 70. Like that's
37 decisives in 37 games.
Yeah, so like if you have a decisive every game, you're going to be pretty solid. But it's just Haaland is going to be difficult to ever be like that alpha because that's just not his style. His style isn't going to be a so rare alpha. The way that the matrix works, it doesn't like benefit him. Whereas like Mbappe could get to a player where if he gets 100, it's just like a lock. If he gets a decisive, it's like a lock 90 plus. Whereas like Mbappe has that path. Haaland is like a guy where you're like, this guy might score 2 or 3 goals a game, but he probably needs it to match one Mbappe decisive a game. And Mbappe is also a guy that's going to score like a decisive a game. So I just think that Mbappe is a far superior player than what Haaland can be on the platform. And therefore, that's why, like if I'm looking at like U23 forwards and I'm like, all right, I want the best U23 forward, it's probably not going to be Haaland. Which, if I'm saying that, I'm like, if it's not going to be Haaland, like, why do I necessarily want to pay 8 ETH for him? So, like, I just don't think his price is accurate at all. I think Mbappe, right now, with, like, where things are, the issue is with Haaland, right? We don't know what Haaland's price is because they don't auction because, obviously, he's not in a spot where he can be auctioned yet. Right. And if you look at it and you're like, what was he selling for. Nobody's pumping down his floor to that sort of price range because they think his floor is like 8. I just don't think anyone's willing to pay that.
So a few things on that. To go back to the Harry trades thing, that he like wins without Mbappe. I think if Harry could have Mbappe, he'd have Mbappe.
Harry would 100% have Mbappe.
So like, I don't think Harry is playing this game without Mbappe because he thinks that's the optimal way to play. It's just a very expensive card and he doesn't have it in his budget, which is the case for almost all of us. And so I think saying like, oh, you can win without Mbappe, like, of course you can. Mbappe's not in the winning lineup every single game week, but like he makes it a lot easier, which is why he's so expensive.
Yeah.
So the Haaland thing is funny because I think if I told you that he would have the most decisives of any U23 forward in the next 2 seasons, you could agree and be like, okay, that's right. And you could also say he's probably like the 5th highest scoring U23 forward. Like,
yes,
having the most decisives does not mean he's going to have the highest scoring average.
Correct. And it's not like I would obviously, like, if I had a Haaland right now, I'd be super excited about having Haaland, right? Like, I would be like, yeah, this is awesome. I have a Haaland. I can play it a lot. But at the same time, like you said, like, there's definitely going to be a situation where you're like, if you just look at his last 5. Let's just look at his last 5 games. This weekend, ripped a 98, had a hat trick. Awesome. You're like up there. Well, week before, he had 60 with a negative AA and a goal. That's fine. That just doesn't kill a lineup. What I call 60s now, 60s are what used to be 50s, right? They like don't kill the lineup, but don't help you. They just like keep your lineup going forward. Because typically, like to get a card, like you are going to need an average of like 65 to 70 a lot of the time. For higher end cards, you might get a card if everyone averages 60. You might get like a tier 2 or tier 3. So like that's, but like if you're playing Erling Haaland, you're not playing for tier 2s and tier 3s, right? Like you're playing to win divisions because that's what the price justifies of. Whereas like if you had like Erling Haaland and he costs like 0.5 ETH, you're like, all right, I'm totally fine winning tier 3s with this card. It's cool. All right, the week before he did not score and had 36. The week before he did not score and had 30. The week before he scored and had 1 decisive and had 60 with a negative AA again. So if you look at it, and I know this is obviously a smaller sample, but like I think that's probably a realistic sample of what you'll see on Haaland over his career, right? He had 6 goals in 5 games. Like if you get 6 goals in 5 games for Haaland over his career, everyone's going to be happy with that. The issue is that like of those games, only one of those was like a legit high-end result. The other 4 are 2 disasters that eliminated you and 2 scores that were like good.
So you mentioned he had 97, 98 this past game week with a hat trick, 61 minutes. So they 17 and a half all around. And I was like, all right, when was the last time he had an all around higher than that? And you go to this Manchester derby where he scored 100 because he had 5 decisives. Like he didn't even need the 25 all around that he got. Like you got no benefit from that because of all the decisives.
Correct.
And so
also, you need to read what Flinkmon just said. It's going to make you laugh. We have a Tuggy burner account.
Is that Tuggy burner account here?
Flinkmon here.
Do you think Dango could be there if Bournemouth go down?
If Bournemouth
championship, Dango
go down to
pretty good.
If Bournemouth goes down to the championship, Dango's fantastic.
Yeah.
If Bournemouth stays up in the Prem, Dango is like a 52 guy. It doesn't cut it.
Game week 266 is the other time that he beat last weekend's AA, where he played for Dortmund.
Yeah. So like you're just like it's not an unrealistic outcome that you're like if you look at his games like you're getting, and the reason is because he gets big chance misses. Like he just gets BCMs because he gets so many chances. And like if you miss a BCM, no, I did not buy.
No, not you, Fling Flong. I'm assuming like that's why they're saying
or he's Tuggy's burner account. Fling Flong, what's your gallery so I can check it out to see if you just bought Dango? Actually, I can probably just do this by searching Dango and checking
most recent
transactions.
What do you think about this comment that U23 scoring could go down next year because of all the players that we're losing?
What did you say?
There's a comment here in the chat that said U23 scores will go down next season because we're losing players like Hakpo, Carlson, Mbappe, Trezor, Upamecano.
Okay, so I agree and disagree with that comment. I agree. I think that so every year you're going to lose elite level U23 pieces, and then you're also going to gain elite level U23 pieces. I will say I agree that this year you're going to lose a much higher range of U23 elite level players than you're going to gain. Whereas like last year, you did not really lose many U23 elite level players because they were all 22. So like last year, you didn't lose Gakpo, you didn't lose Mbappe. Also, Gakpo's looks like he's dust now. So hopefully he remains dust because I don't have him and we don't have to worry about him anymore. Because I definitely was not enjoying Gakpo ripping hundreds up my butt every week.
No, I remember. So we did a newsletter about player prices of guys who lose U23. The list of guys that we lost from like last year was really good too.
Yes.
So it's not like, I don't know. I feel like we're going to do this every year. There are going to be all these guys who like lose U23 eligibility. And we're like, oh, U23 is going to be a lot easier now because we don't have all these big guys. And like other ones just pop up. This is literally how it works every year.
Correct. And that is how it's going to work. And like, that's how it will go. The issue is that I do think that that's just going to be the inevitable ebbs and flows of the game. And so Percha just said U23 rewards are going to be way worse next year. In theory, yes, but like you're not going to be able to win Mbappe. Yeah, that's true. Mbappe ages out. But like if you're sitting there and you're like U23 player, you're like, oh, you're going to win Enzo Fernandez. Are you really pissed winning Enzo Fernandez? No. Are you really pissed assuming the Prem comes in, you're getting an Erling Haaland card? No, you're still like, yeah, this is awesome. Like, so I do think that I understand where people are coming from when they say like U23 rewards are going to be way worse next year. You're just going to get a new batch of U23 guys that you really are like interested in or that you really want. Like all of a sudden next year, Hype Bro, Rayan Cherokee is 3 ETH. And you're like, oh man, I really, really would love to have Rayan Cherokee. Now, maybe the part that is true is Mbappe doesn't exist. You don't have like that 10 ETH card that is there. Granted, now 4.5 ETH card, but like you don't have that Uber Alpha that you could be like, oh, I really want to win that card. That's the guy I want to win. Well, hate to break to everyone, but like not many people are winning Mbappe's anyways. So like it's just the overall range. Like if I look at the U23, like let me look at the rewards from like U23 last week, and there's gonna be a lot of people. You're like, yeah, this is awesome. I still won this card, and I don't think that's gonna change next year. I think you're gonna win guys that you want to win in U23 Rare and U23 Rare Pro. I think it's still gonna be there because there's just going to be cards that you can win that are going to be interesting. It looks like it's not opening on the rewards page on SorareData, unfortunately. Yeah, I tried to pull it up. It's giving me other divisions. It's not giving me U23 for whatever reason. But yeah, so you're going to win some guys. Quinny's here. Quinny, is my boy Kobayashi going to start again this weekend? Or is he going to be back on the bench permanently? Because I still can't believe I got to start from him. But yeah, like I think you're going to get players that you're excited to win. Like just pretend the Prem comes in. Like is Phil Foden still under 23? Probably. Like people are going to be excited to win. Yeah, Phil Foden's 22. No one's going to be pissed off to win Phil Foden. People are going to be like, oh, cool, I won Phil Foden. This is awesome. So it's not really going to change where the whole prize pool is going to be terrible. You just might not have that super top end guy.
Or we just don't know who the guy is yet.
100%. We could just not know who the guy is. Like, we could not have. So Fling Flong has said Dango is better than Phil Foden. Dango is 100% Tuggy's burner account. Have officially confirmed that at this point. So it's good to see you, Tuggy. Glad you're joining us. Yeah, Joda spiked. Like Joda was like rotting the year before.
Exactly. Like we just have guys that go into new situations and all of a sudden they start smashing. And so it just. Yes, we're losing some like really, really good cards, but like we lose them every season, and maybe we lose more than we have this July. But like the idea that like U23 like becomes easier because the scores aren't that high, like it's just not going to be the case. That's all.
Yeah. Well, like all of a sudden, like pretend next year for Ajax, like Conceição is like the new dude, and he comes in. So David Lopez just gave us a good list of people. Like you have Matisse Tell, you have Arda Gurler, you have Tengstad, you have Foden, Saka, Martinelli if you get the Prem. There's going to be new guys that come into PSV. There's going to be new guys that go into Genk. There's going to be new guys that go into Ajax. There's going to be new guys that go into other Premier and Championship sides. Like there's going to be people that are appealing to guys to win going forward. It just the next question. Here's a question for you, Laird. Who is, and I don't want the answer to be like we don't know yet, because I think that probably is the answer, but I want you to actually give someone. Who is the next person that could be like Mbappe type, where he's like, this guy's like a 70 average player and has elite level upside in terms of like where he could transfer to, and has like a sick all around possible game that could score a lot of goals? For those wondering, I'm trying to tee him up to say Cherky, but I don't think he'll do it.
No, I'm definitely not. I actually am here to like settle everyone down on him.
I figured you would be. I knew you would be. I actually would love to hear your reasoning behind it.
I just think that there is as much excitement about him as there is during like fit Doku. And you're going to be like, oh no, it's so different. He takes set pieces and there's nowhere he could go that would be bad. And he's already elite. And it's just like, there's nothing that he's done in this game that makes me think that he's like a sure thing that like everyone seems to feel now.
Okay, so here's a couple.
And everyone who, sorry, I'm going to, one more thing. And everyone who is like sticking up for him is just to be like, well, he's so young, we have so long to find out. And it's like, all right, well, I'll use that for Arda Gurler too. Like, yeah, plenty of time.
So, all right, so a couple of people have commented. Marco has said Kvaratskhelia. I don't think Kvaratskhelia can be there as a midfield card.
I was going to say, if he had a forward card, he's in.
Yes. If Kvaradona got a forward card, I think the answer could be yes to that. I don't think he can do it he's been very good as a midfield though. I actually sold his card, if you remember. And funnily enough, like I sold it like day one, and not like day one, but like
you won him and you were like, I'm definitely selling him.
No, I didn't sell him because I won him. I won him when he was in like Russia and was like then died.
Oh, did you?
Like,
okay.
I can't sell him, but I sold him this year at Napoli earlier this year. What do you think I sold him for? And what do you think so floor today is 1.96. What did I sell him for 5 months ago?
0.7.
1.86.
Oh.
So I literally buy him back for what I sold him for, and he's been best player in the league. So I mean, that's just sort of a thing.
How much longer does he have?
He has a couple years left.
He has a bunch, right?
He turns 21 in February, so he goes to 2025 like Haaland. And then let's see who said. David Lopez said Matisse Tell. So here is the point, and I'm going to call him Piffy. I'm not going to give all the numbers. So Piffy said, if you watch Cherky, he has the game to be a top SO5 scorer, which Doku does not have. That is 100% my opinion on it as well. Doku doesn't have the game to be that guy. Cherky does have the game. I'm not saying he's going to be, but he at least has. Would you agree if I said the potential to you, Laird? Like Cherky has the potential to be a high-end player on Sorare based on his style of play.
Sure.
If absolutely. I told you, if I asked you that about Doku, what would you say?
I would just laugh at you.
Yeah, so that's the point with Cherky. Sorare Josh says Musiala. So
I think Musiala is as much in the conversation.
What?
I think he's as much as in the conversation.
Well, I think you could also use Wirtz too. You can use Wirtz and you could use Musiala. The issue I will say for Musiala is I don't see the AA game being there quite as much as what Cherky's could be, because I haven't seen Musiala take sets. Has Musiala taken sets at all?
I think so. I mean, he's not like, I mean, when Kimmich is on, it's not like he's going to take him.
Yeah, I guess that's fair, because like Kimmich just sort of That is fair. It's hard to know because Kimmich just like alphas everything. But so if you look, all right. So here's a question for you, Laird. Who is second on the team in corners taken this year for Bayern? It's a tie with two
Sane.
people. Sane is tied with one other person. Who's the other person? Cliff. It's someone I've talked about could be that guy in the future.
It could be that guy in the future. Oh, Gravenberch?
Gravenberch.
Wow.
Gravenberch and Sane have each.
Are they tied with 6 or something like that?
Three. Kimmich's taken 88. They've each taken 3. Musiala has not taken any. They could have been short for all I know. Probably. Piffy said Gravenberch, but yeah.
Yeah, they were short, and then Kimmich sent them in. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's definitely a question. Like in order, I do not. All right, here's a question for you, Laird. Can you be that type of player without sets?
No.
I agree. I do not think it is a possibility for you to be an alpha player without sets. So Blue Tomatoes asked, does Wirtz take sets? Yes. Wirtz does take sets for Leverkusen. Like they rotate it, but you have to at least take some sets in order to be that type of alpha player. Yeah, so just for your question, Blue Tomatoes, if I do an L40 within Leverkusen, Wirtz is still second on the team in corners taken, despite missing like a shitload of time.
Yeah.
So Mike Baston brings up Jude, who I think is a good case. So Piffy talks about Wirtz's transfer threat. I don't really think there's a bad transfer for Wirtz. He's not going to anywhere below Leverkusen level. Like, yes, he could end up at Bayern, and like, let's say he goes to Bayern and he doesn't take sets because
Kimmich does.
Because Kimmich does. Well, eventually though he could. And then AMC just said Cherokee could be wonderful, but will lack the decisives. The issue is that you can't really lack the decisives if you're on all sets. If you're on all sets, decisives will naturally come to some extent because you're on sets. And so that's why like being on sets is just incredibly important. So if I go look at Bayern or Dortmund and I take a look and you go down and you look at corner kicks, Jude Bellingham's taken 2 in the last 40. Whether or not they're short, I don't know. But that's my concern with Bellingham ever reaching like that sort of apex or that sort of high-end player. If you don't have sets, I do not think it is possible for you to consistently be up there. For example, like these 58s and 48s and 57s, if you have sets, those are like 70s. And that's the type of player we're talking about here.
Yeah, I think Bellingham is the best who's not in the conversation yet. Like, I think he can be in the conversation as the best under 23 player. Like, I don't think.
Yes. Yeah. Best U23 player, sure.
Where was I going with this? Oh, so one of the things you said, not here, was that like Cherky doesn't have a bad place to go. Like, he's not going to stay at Lyon forever. And so like and you were like, wherever he goes, he's fine. And I feel like we start to say that about guys who are in Champion Europe already, because there are guys who are usually in Challenger and then they go to Champ teams and we're like, well, he's dead now because he's not going to play. Like that, just because he plays in Ligue 1 already, like doesn't mean that there isn't a spot where he can go and not have sets, but still be a productive player. And so that's like, he's too young right now. And like, he's too young now to walk into some better Champion Europe team and get put on sets. But he's also good enough where he probably doesn't stay at Lyon that long. So like, that's my biggest worry with him, that he's essentially a challenger player.
When I say the comment, he's not going to have a move to die, the comment more means he's not going to go to Bournemouth. Like, Cherokee is not transferring to Nottingham Forest.
Yeah, I actually think that's a better outcome, though.
Maybe. I mean,
like, I think you would rather him at Nottingham Forest than Manchester United.
Typically, but in order to be an alpha on the platform, you typically have to have sets and you have to be on one of the elite level teams.
Yeah. I just think that we have to wait a long time for that to happen.
Oh, 100%. That's why, like, I think that the issue with Cherokee, the thing with Cherokee is, though, Cherokee, if he's at Lyon for a couple of years and he remains in the role he's been in like the last 3 games, he has the potential to be an elite level U23 forward, even in that situation. But he could go through a cycle where he's that player, then becomes a dust bucket, then becomes that player again.
Sure.
Or he could be like that player, then a dust bucket, then a dust bucket forever. Like, it's definitely possible.
Yeah.
So Blue Tomatoes brings up a good point.
I love
So
this.
Cherokee
I love this
hasn't
comment.
played a whole season, and we compare him to Musiala, Wirtz, and Jude. Then we could compare almost all talents with him. So the difference is I actually don't compare him to Musiala because I don't think Musiala has the upside from what I've seen thus far. The whole question in this is like, who has the realistic potential to be realistically? What this question is who can be at Real Madrid taking sets is the realistic question we're asking, right? So like the answer to this question is who can be at Bayern, Man City, Real Madrid, Barcelona with sets. That's effectively what this question is. And that's why Cherokee is in that discussion with them, despite not having proven that he can be there and hasn't done it over a consistent time frame. But you can watch his style of play and you know that he's on the sets. It gives him the potential to be in that situation. Whereas, like, we've seen Musiala play a lot, but we haven't seen Musiala take sets. So it's concerning to be like, oh, what would happen if Kimmich's out? I still don't think that he takes sets. And if we don't think that Musiala takes sets, then it renders him difficult to be in that elite level category.
Yeah, I think at this age, which is basically like 19 to 21, having taken set pieces for a team is more beneficial than like trying to project their decisive output in the future. And Cherokee, we know, has taken set pieces, and so he's in kind of a range by himself versus the other guys that we know or that are already starting regularly when fit for high champion Europe clubs like Musiala, Wirtz, and Bellingham.
Correct. Like, if you look at Cherokee and starts, like, I mean, he just doesn't have enough sample size. It's just, if you watch the game,
one game over 80 is nuts to me. That we're like, we've seen one game over 80, and people are like, he could be the best player on the platform.
Yeah, but I think it's a realistic question. Like, it's a realistic person to say it for. And that it is weird. I 100% acknowledge that. But like, it's the same thing. Like every other hype bro, I don't think has that as an option. Like Doku doesn't have this as an option. That's not the type of player he is. He's not going to be a playmaker because this player effectively has to be a playmaker that's running in like a free roll that can be like a cam that's taking sets. That's like realistically what this player is. Like all these other hype bros that we've talked about in the past, and you and I like have stayed away from most of the hype bros. You've stayed away from Cherokee because you don't buy into it. I do buy into the possibility.
I don't have a gallery that I can like buy into this.
So Surface just says sometimes, though, talent has to be considered. For example, Kimmich doesn't look like he was taking sets from ages of 18, 21. 100%. That's, again, why Cherokee's in this discussion.
Yeah, I mean, Tony Cruz was taking them. That's why Kimmich wasn't taking them at 18 to 21.
Correct.
Like, it's a very different situation.
Correct. But I'm like, if you're typically not taking sets at any point from the like 16 to 21 range or something, if you don't take sets, you probably aren't likely to take sets in the future.
Yeah. I think the Cherokee hype may have to die soon. Tuggy's on Cherokee.
If Tuggy is going to buy Cherokee, then Cherokee's dead. But actually, Cherokee probably isn't dead because what will happen is Tuggy will trade at 120% value, get Cherokee, then sell him at 120% loss, and then move out of Cherokee, and then Cherokee will take off. So it's possible, but yeah. So that's the point of the conversation. But like back to the talent perspective. I mean, Cherokee's literally been called the next Mbappe. If you're called the next Mbappe, whether or not that's full of shit or not full of shit, you have talent. Like you have a high-end talent.
People are called a lot of things, Sean.
Yeah, 100%. Like, I mean, there's tons of Messis out there. I watched Sorare Malta, which, by the way, if you guys didn't watch Sorare Malta, he had a prize reveal last week for him winning Underdog. No, Specialist Limited.
Specialist. It's a great video.
Limited, and it was a really good I liked it. I don't really care for much content, but it was like a 1-minute video on his Twitter. So if you guys check out Sorare Malta, go watch his reaction video. I really liked it. I thought it was pretty funny. Anyways, he had Teddy Tuma and he called him the Maltese Messi. So like there's definitely people that are going to be talked about. So yeah, Bojan Krkic was the next Messi. So there's definitely a lot of guys like that. But like if you watch Cherokee, like if you just watch the highlight reel from Cherokee for like the weekend, like go watch his highlight reel from like last weekend, you watch and you're like, all right, this guy's got a lot of talent. Now, whether or not he'll put it together or he's a head case, which we know he is, whatever, that is what it is. So anyways, but Laird hates him. I still think
don't hate him at all.
has the potential to be a high-end player long term, but it's just not going to be there anytime in the near future because Kimmick's there.
If you didn't have one, would you buy one?
Probably.
Right.
At some point, I would have bought a Cherokee, I think.
You would have bought it before now? Like,
yes.
What is there to see before basically the last month?
He's had other strings where he's played and you watch him and it's like, this guy's really freaking talented. There are not many, but there's a few. Like, even just watching him with sub on, you can watch and you can be like that's where his spikes come from when he gets like a random couple starts or something. But yeah, so David Lopez said Ryan Gauld was considered the next Messi when he joined Sporting. I'm sure Gauld guy 321 will like that one.
Yeah, right.
So yeah, Gauld's been good in Vancouver, and Vancouver's a steaming pile of trash. So that is there's always gonna be a list of people that are gonna be like, this guy's the next so and so. The reality of the situation is almost all of them will not be, and that's why like Florian Wirtz and Musiala are like priced why they are, because they've already effectively proven that they can be really good regardless. Just a matter of, can they take the step to the elite level? But like, if you look at, for example, like Musiala hasn't shown the elite level yet. Wirtz has shown more elite level than what Musiala has shown, in my opinion. Not saying Musiala's bad. Musiala's been very good, but like like you look at this, I don't see elite. Like if I'm looking at that score graph, right, that doesn't scream elite to me. Would you agree?
Yes.
And so that's the problem. Like, whereas if you look at Wirtz and you go back to like the previous year, you see it and you're like, all right, that's pretty impressive. But again, it's probably still not in the elite range. Whereas like you pull up Messi or Neymar and you look at them and you're like, wow, you guys are impressive.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you look at that. Like, that's better to me than what we've seen with Musiala.
Sure.
But again, is it that better? Because he's also doing it at a worse team, right? Musiala is doing it on a much better team, whereas Wirtz is doing it on like a upper mid table team,
which helps his case.
Yeah, which 100% helps his case.
Yeah, it hurts Musiala to play for Bayern Munich.
Like Musiala is doing what he's doing at the best possible team he could go to. Wirtz is doing it on a team where he definitely can take a step up.
Yeah. I like that.
Or Josh said if Wirtz moved to Bayern now, his scores would be worse than Musiala. Definitely possible. Definitely possible. I'm not sure what they would do with them in that situation.
Right. Like I
guess Musiala has multiple cards too, but Wirtz's card really depends on where he's playing for a specific team. Like if he's playing in like the 8 role and he's got a forward card, it's way worse than a midfield card. Vice versa, if he's playing in the 8 role, or if he's playing like if he's playing like Cam and he's got a midfield card or a forward card, it's not maybe as good as what the midfield card might be.
Yeah, that's fair. We've gone pretty long here, but who is this? Jakun said, so in conclusion, which is nice since this comment came like 10 minutes ago.
Sure.
How concerned are we about the market, since that was what we were supposed to talk about? Scale of 1 to 10, I'm going to say 10 is the most scared. How scared are you, Sean?
10 is the most scared. I can't say TBD, can I?
No.
I'm going to say it's like a 6. I'm definitely more concerned than I
more scared than not scared.
Yeah, I gave it a 6.
Okay. Yeah, I think I'm like a 4 or 5.
Yeah.
Mostly because like maybe it's just because I have the benefit of of not having to like, although buying in now seems great because prices look so low, but like, I don't know. I think because I just never looked at this as like an investment vehicle that like, I don't really, not that I don't care about my card prices. In fact, I've been trying to sell cards and they won't sell at all. So maybe I should be more concerned, but like, we're playing a fantasy football game. Like I don't know. I think it's just going to keep going.
Yeah, well, part of the reason I'm concerned is not as much of a concern about like, I just have concern that the prices will ever be where they were, because I don't think Sorare cares about that. I think Sorare is content lowering the price points and bringing on 1 million people at lower price points than higher price points and 200,000 people.
I mean, I think at some point, just based on the scarcity of the cards, that if card prices go down and that leads to a lot of users, at some point it trickles up.
It does, and it should go back the other way. I agree with that. But
yeah.
Like, where are we at right now? In my opinion, we're on the trickle down. So like, are we going to see an influx back in when new people come in? And that's the question. And then like, is it going to be stable, or is it going to be a situation where we eventually dip back down again? Because like after the Prem, like what big event is there after the Prem? And that's what we've all talked about.
Nothing.
You
can't do anything.
And that is the concern that I have. But who knows?
Yeah.
I think part of the thing though is like, it needs to be viewed that limited is the low level game. If you walk into the casino, limited is the penny slots. That's what limiteds are. And that's where your majority of your people are going to be. Once you get over limited, that's when you're actually putting some money in play and you're actually like having some things. The question is rares going to be more towards that end, or is it going to be more towards the limited end? I'm pretty convinced at this point, like limiteds are just going to be like so cheap.
Yeah. Like, I don't think there's a reasonable path for like current limited prices to like double.
No, I don't see limiteds being a realistic. I don't see limiteds being a realistic option where they would hold value.
Say that again?
I don't think limiteds will hold value from where they are now. Like, I just think limiteds go down in almost every scenario.
Yeah, I don't feel that way about rares and super rares though.
Correct. No, I don't feel that way about super rares and uniques. Rares, I'm on the fence on. I don't think that way right now, but it could change. But like limiteds, I mean, I was actually talking to Gald Guy 321 the other day, and I said, I'm like, limiteds are just like, I don't know, limiteds just aren't doing it for me, because we know I bought 80th worth of limiteds this last February or March.
I told you back then that you shouldn't do it, but
yeah. All right. So how much do you think my limited gallery is worth right now, according to SorareData?
4 ETH.
8.
Oh,
I put in 8. It's worth 8.
Yeah.
So like, I mean, I don't know. I just like, they're just not fun for me, I guess, which is
but of course they're not, Sean.
Correct. But like, I think that they're a good. And I was talking to Gold Guy, and this is my takeaway from it. Like, every game mode is going to be fun for every single person and every like level. Like, guarantee you wouldn't be having fun playing the unique levels and having to play the unique. Like, that would not be fun for you. So like, limited, I think, is going to be a great way for people to come in with like $500, a couple $100s, and play limited and like try to hit $5 thresholds. And like, it will be a very good low level enjoyment for people. And I love that. I'm so happy that that's what I think is going to happen, because I think people can realistically come on the platform and spend a couple $100 and get cards in the limited variety and win thresholds, right? And if you're winning $5 threshold and your gallery is $200, that's great, right? Like, that's awesome. So I think that that's going to be cool for people going forward. My question is, are people above that, or I'm sorry, are people that are at that level going to step up to the next level above it? That's where my concern is, because if you don't convert a portion of those people into guys playing higher, then that's where the concern is. But I viewed it like poker, right? Like poker, if you go to a casino, there's people that play like 1-2 no limit hold'em, and then all of a sudden, like, those guys that are playing 1-2 no limit hold'em are having success, and they want to move up to 2-5, and then they want to move up to 5-10. The question is just how many people are going to do that.
Yeah, no, I think that's exactly the point. And I don't think that the limited market is any indication of the rare or super rare. Like I feel like people always try to use some sort of multiple. And I think that the multiple is more understandable between rare and super rare than it is limited to rare. And I think the limited game is just a completely different animal. And so, like Surface commented, like we're we're dead if like if rares go down to the price of limiteds now. And I don't think that's happening. Like I think rares are actually too scarce for that to happen. There are just a ton of limiteds, and I think it's just a very different game. And looking at the limited market, I think is just different than looking at the overall Sorare market as a whole with rares and super rares. That's all.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with that. Also, I think that we need to start seeing more stuff like this Milan tournament that's in the midweek for some reason. I don't know why, but like stuff like that provides value to the platform. That like the Serie A challenge that they're running on the weekends right now, like that is stuff that provides additional value to the platform. Like give 2 tickets away to a game, and people are interested in that. Like it's just something that people are interested in that isn't directly ETH and dollars and stuff. And I think like if you do stuff like that, that's a good thing. Like, and they can do so many of those things for free. Like play a contest, top 5 get to have a Skype call with Nicholas or whatever, whoever.
Like Nellis with these
top 10 people get to have a Zoom call with Andrew Laird for 1 hour. Like I'm sure some people would want that. I don't know why, but like some people.
Nobody wants that. That's nice of you to say, but nobody wants it.
But anyways, like I think doing more stuff like that going forward is definitely profitable and a good move for like the platform's health in general.
Yeah.
So Surface just says, how does the AC Milan contest provide value? It's a reward that probably 98% of the platform can't use. Perfect example you just gave it. 2% of the platform just got value out of that. So that provides value. So like that, it's just stuff like that. Same thing if they add like a t-shirt, like they give a t-shirt to the top 50 people. That provides value. People like that stuff. I'm a sucker for stuff like that. Like I remember when they put up the Belgian Challenge League and they were like top 10 get a jersey. I'm like, yes, sir. I'm all about this. I have my Gank jersey sitting behind me, Laird. So like to me, like that's cool. Like, if you add stuff like that, that's something that provides value to people that they can't get otherwise. So I think that's great. Like I know for a fact, our friend Andy Black went out and bought 2 cards so that he could play in the Milan special because he's like, this is a sick experience that no one's going to be able to. You can't do it, right? Like I just can't hop on the AC Milan plane and fly to London with them. It's something you have to.
Sure, you can.
Maybe I can. I don't know. I'd have to pull some strings on that, but
they probably have some pretty sick seats on those planes.
Oh, it's probably so comfortable.
Yeah,
my fat ass would actually be like not miserable on a plane.
Just saying.
I wouldn't have to buy like the big. Have we talked about my Spirit and Big Chairs fans? I'm so sad that like Spirit got bought out, but I would be able to not sit in the big chairs.
RIP PSU fans too. Anyway, thank you to everybody who has joined us live. This was we got a little off topic in terms of the U23 stuff, but I think it brought us back to what we think of the platform. And I don't remember where we ended up, if a cheap Mbappe is good or not. But congratulations to Zarchipu for his purchase. If you guys haven't hit the like button, please do so. If you've somehow watched all of this and haven't subscribed to the channel, please subscribe as well, because you'll get notifications when all of our stuff goes up, including next or later this week. I'll be back with Andy Black for Sorare Andrews, and then there will be a Sorare NBA show as well that is over on our SorareData NBA channel, which you can go subscribe to as well. So thank you for that, Sean, and good